So a bit of housekeeping now. First of all, maybe just say hello to the What's New in Business Central 2025 Wave 1 session. For the people who don't know me, my name is Joerg Rau. I'm the head of Dynamics 365 here at Theta. What we normally do is going through a ton of demos. I try to squeeze in as much as I can in the 1.5 hours we have. I do allow for questions, and at the end, so I'd like to go through my content. You can go into the Q&A section and drop in your question. And at the end of it, we normally then stop the recording, which we do, can view later, and then we address all the questions that you have. So, for all the people who have been through this webinar before with me, they know there's a certain process I do. So first of all, I always point out the release planner. So how do you know what changes are coming? So I just want you to get into that rhythm so that you can prepare yourself as well. So if you go to the release planner for Microsoft, you filter on Business Central. You can then further filter on the specific release. And with this release, you see we have again 134 changes now of things which have been already deployed to us, things which are coming because it's a wave. A wave means, yes, the majority of new features will come right away with the October release or April. So depending on where we're at, in this case, the April, and other things will come through in the minor releases during the 6 months period. So that means of some stuff I can show you, and some things are still to come and I cannot show you yet, but I want to point it out. So what you also can do to prepare yourself is going to the YouTube channel we have for Microsoft. The Microsoft team has a Business Central 2025 release wave playlist. You see there's 64 videos this time. So more videos than we usually see, but they try to make them smaller so that you can specifically go for the topic you're after and only watch this, so you don't have to go to longer videos. There's still some longish videos in there, and for the first time I've seen also that they did the launch event as well. So that's an event, it's about an hour long, where the principal product managers from Microsoft give you an overview about what is new as well. And this time you can see in the audience, entire product team was actually developed this software, sitting there in like a theater style environment. Okay, so the next thing we're going through, of course, I watch the videos for you and have my hand selection of things I think you need to know. Always difficult to find the right areas to make it attractive for everything. This time there will be a lot in the supply chain management, specifically around production, which we haven't seen in the past. We have seen features in the past, but I haven't showed them yet so far because I often think that this might be not the most of my audience. So feature management is the next thing I'm always looking at, is of the current version, so 2024 Wave 2, which is version 25 behind the scenes. What is in there which will be automatically enabled in my next release. So that's always good to know, because then if you haven't enabled it in your current version, well, then it will be enabled in the next version. At least that's what the feature management of that version says. Sometimes we see a difference whether when we do upgrade or look in the newer version, that maybe a feature which is supposed to be enabled has been pushed out further. So in this case, I strike through the ones which we're not interested in, these things in the European Union, and the CEFT audit files export, I think it's for the Czech Republic. So we're not interested in that, but there are some changes which get enabled, or the option to basically enable back, like the legacy locking, which we don't want to enable back in. So that's one thing to look at. I don't go into much detail, but it's always interesting to see what has been enabled first. And then this is what is going to be the version 26. And a lot of features you get are not enabled right away. So that means if you're just missing something I'm showing you today, then it's most likely because it hasn't been enabled by a system administrator. So, and again, those things which coming in this year, they will be then activated compulsory in the next release, most of them. So, okay, I can't go through all of them, what we do today. Some of this will be is already something I've shown you, like the currency revaluation, the optimized text search. Those are things which I already showed you last year. But interesting is also the ones which is enable multiple users to post on the bottom of the screen. For we have that introduced with warehouse entries last version. Now Microsoft goes further and introduces that concept in item ledger entries and job ledger entries and resource ledger entries, which means basically the concept of an entry number, making sure there can't be any gaps, which we have in finance, has been actually softened up for the subledgers here, because we're not so much interested that we have all the sequence of entry numbers in there, as long as we know which entries have been used in a posting, which means a register entry. So if you do have that enabled, that means you can have many more users concurrently post at the same time. Although if you still have automatic cost posting enabled into the GL, then the GL will still be the blocker in terms of it needs to log first, see what the last entry number is, +1 for the next, and so forth. All right, enough of that. But before I dive into it, I just want to talk a bit my experience on the last conference. So the beginning of May was the Directions Bangkok Asia. It's a partner conference for partners only. And I want to talk you through some themes I saw from Microsoft. A few slides I shared. I apologize that you see some heads in front of it. The Directions Conference hasn't yet released the slide deck, so therefore I can't just give you the proper slides. So therefore, I think we need to live with my screenshots or my pictures I've taken. So what is the theme, of course, and the message for Microsoft? Obviously, AI, generative AI, and how do we get to the adoption of the large language modules, which is what we mean with Copilot, with generative AI, with ChatGPT, and so forth. So it's always good a measurement in technology was when do we reach 100 million users? And it took 16 years to get 100 million users on phones, 7 years for the internet, and only Facebook took 4.5 years until they had 100 million users. So I think it's a little bit like a drum roll thing effect, because that head is in the way. How long did it take to get 100 million users of large language modules? The number you can't see is 3 months. So it's really rapidly growing and adopting fast. So Microsoft goes basically in two ways, which you see so far. The Copilot way, which means an assistant to every user employee in the organization to get better in what they do. And that is really, the Copilot for you. You're still in the pilot seat, you drive it, but you get assistance with that. So, and then there's the word of agents. I think I saw sometimes when I talk to people, the confusion about what is Copilot and where agents come in. So if you think Copilot is for you as a single person to help you, then agents is for a business process. So a business process can have an agent or many agents actually, which make up that entire process. So, and Microsoft is going through and says, look, every actually function and process in an organization can be supported with agents or can be eventually run completely with agents. So that means it goes through the whole breadth of the organization. So what we see in this release is right away, well, it's the announcement of 2 agents, one which we already get, and the other one which is coming in September. So the sales order agent is now in public preview, and that the idea of the agent is to analyze emails you as an organization receive in a mailbox, see what type of email that is, and if somebody needs any assistance from a sales perspective of the products you're selling. It can detect any kind of malicious emails, or later on when we see in the purchase world, checking if there maybe is an invoice being manipulated or any kind of attempt of fraud. So this is things where the agent already helps to monitor the mailbox, and then goes and automatically replies to this email by giving suggestions. In this case, what we see is a quote process. I mean, the customer will ask for goods they're interested in. We give them the options they can choose from in an email back. The customer replies again and says, oh, I'd like to have this and this and this product within these quantities. Okay, then the agent says, oh, that's great, prepares a sales quote in there, prepares the email, and sends the email back to the customer. The customer then first, of course, identifies the customer in the first place as well, and then sends an email back, and then the customer confirms the quote and creates an order. And that process can be completely automated, or can be augmented with a person who just checks in, maybe loop in a user to say what has been generated is working. So that's the first agent up the rank. And I also have to say that we are privileged a bit, that we are, with New Zealand and Australia, just two of the few countries where we get this preview. So that's a benefit maybe to live in an English-speaking country to start with the software vendor in the US. So US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand will get the preview. The rest of the world won't. So that means you would be in a privileged position to start using it. And I'll tell you more why that is a privilege and why we should need to get on with it. So Microsoft thinks that 2025 is the year of the frontier firm, are going through different phases. So the first phase is what hopefully every one of you is already doing in your day-to-day business, make use of AI to help you. And of course, that is your Copilot, but it's also, of course, transcripting and video calls and so forth. So the phase 2 is going into the agents. So where each employee will be the boss of one or many agents, see what the agents are doing, and go and accept those outputs and say, yes, you can continue, until we get into a phase 3, where humans working side by side with agents. And Microsoft even thinks that org charts will reflect one day agents in certain positions to do work. So in the generative AI, we're talking about a fourth phase, but we just leave that up for now. Let's get over and get to the phases first, so that we have agents working for us. So why would we do all of that? So in the level 1, when we just do the Copilot, so as research shows from Microsoft, that a person can get up to 50% more efficient with working with the Copilot. I think everyone has been through this. When you wanted to write maybe complicated text, you know what you wanted to say, but you didn't know how to say it, whip up a contract, do something, or what you can often ask, so, this is what I did, tell me what I was missing. So having a peer review and so forth. I think every one of us has done that. So the level 2, where we have now the boss of the agents and have running processes, entire processes, with the help of agents, then organizations or the person should get up to 3 times more efficient in getting things done. And if we have side-by-side agents running with humans, then we get a much better efficiencies out of that. So that will make a big difference of organizations who get engaged on this. There was a lot of analogies about trains. Getting onto the train is something which everyone did. That's we show with 100 million users in 3 months' time. So now you want to be on the train because the train is leaving the station. So, and you don't want to be falling behind. So that is kind of the message we have. So how does Microsoft with Business Central incorporate those 3 levels? So we saw already the chat, the sales line suggestions, etc., the bank account reconciliation as assistance for humans. And now we're going level 2 and level 3. Why is it across? Because at the moment we still have a sales order agent where you have to confirm or can confirm the output of it. I'll demo that to you. But one day you might just want it to run completely by itself. Some other fun facts. This is the last slide from the conference. is that we have reached now worldwide 45,000 customers on Business Central in the cloud. So we're surpassing actually many very popular competitors' systems as well, which have lesser than this number. Also interesting, I found there's 500,000 organizations running on the Power Platform D365 every month. And yes, we do have more than 6,000 package solutions out there in App Stores now. So that has rapidly grown again and again. All right, so that's the key factors I just want to share with you. Now, when you go on the release planner, you will find sections of where the changes are. So I just tried to change that a bit in my this year presentation, where I say, look, these are the application changes and what I picked. So I only picked one of those to show you, which is the edit price list in Excel, because I see people spending often a lot of time in price lists. Therefore, I think that might be a good thing to have a look at. So, okay, so you want to usually change pricing, terminate ending dates, change the prices themselves, adding more lines to it, and so forth. And you can do this now with the feature in Excel. So I just go in there. So I just already have a price list open, many prices in there. So edit in Excel, open my Excel spreadsheet, and here you see all my lines in there, which I've seen before. So I can go and delete a line, for example, because I don't want that price anymore. I don't sell this item. I can go also and change an existing item. So go to the price field and make a change. So, which means I do my delete, my updates, and I want to do also my inserts. So, yeah, so you go, of course, in Excel, you can filter and do things, changes and do them. And then you go and press the publish button, and then you see it's published. And if I create a new record, then I can create something new. For example, I only have to put in the item and then the product number. If you already then publish, then you'll see the rest of it will be just sort of updated. You don't need to do it this way. I just wanted to show you that this is all what you need to do to start, and then you can always come back and update the prices here. So, and imagine you've got millions of lines in there, and so forth. Of course, you want to split into different price lists, but I think this is quite a useful thing to do. Okay, if you go back to BC, then and refresh the Business Central, obviously you can see that those changes all have been applied to it, and you see my line deleted in the last 111. The new item has been added. So the next section is about the Copilot in AI. So I picked 4 of them. Again, I can show you 3, but the last one I can't. But I want to talk you through what is the ambition actually Microsoft tries to achieve, which is the purchase order agent coming in September. So just 1 month before the new release starts. So autofill fields are, sorry, I have to explain first the Copilot in AI. I wanted to talk about that a bit. Copilot functionality we've seen so far, the chat, the suggestion, the reconciliation, they're all included at no extra cost. You could use them so far. Microsoft said, look, we might introduce something later in terms of fair use policies or quotas or pricing. At the moment, they're really, really keen that all the users are starting using the functionality and providing feedback. So therefore, there is no extra costs. It's all included in the Business Central license you have. But when we come to agents, then this changes. Agents is consumption-based usage, and you need to buy what is called messages. And I have a whole section about this at the very end about the licensing changes I need to explain as well. So you can buy prepay packs for it, or you can go with a pay-as-you-go option. Once you use pre-packs and you run out of them, then it goes automatically to pay-as-you-go. So I'll tell you more about the new currency messages and how that plays a role in the agents. So in general, the Copilot and AI things are you can just start right away of using them. There's not much training about them. And Microsoft also wants us to tell you that they adhere to the security, privacy, and compliance standards. Microsoft, that means your data is your data, and all this data you see and play with is just yours. Okay, let's go into the autofill fields. helping with auto-filling fields. We saw it in the Dynamics 365 sales area already. So this is something which came over now into the Business Central way, where AI helps us in terms of the data we're having and frequent choices we have done for us to help with automatically fill data. Of course, in my demo environment, there's not a lot of data, not a lot of behavior. So therefore, what you see, you have to probably take it also with a pinch of salt as well. So, but can't wait to see how it works in your organization. So I have to go into the Copilot agent capabilities and also make sure my features have been enabled here. So it's the summarize and Autofill, which I want to use today. So when I create a new customer, then yes, I can choose a template, which already populates a lot of fields for me if I've done this right. And now I usually put a name in, and you see there is a little sparkle there, which is my AI sparkle. So which I click now, it goes in and tries to suggest me other fields based on the information I typed in. Well, in this case, it's only the name, but it found 3 suggestions for me to do. So you see the block fields, those are not saved yet. It's just suggestions. The salesperson code, which I can say yes. I like the email as a document sending profile, but I don't like the blocked. So, and if I type an address, you see this field doesn't have any sparkle, but the city one has. So now I can just have it looking for it. It says, yeah, I found Auckland, but the postcode isn't right. I can see it on the top right corner as well, and can make the selections there or discard them all and do the right thing. So the more you use it, the more it will find the patterns, the more it will help you. So don't give up in the first place. So yeah, it reduces time-consuming things which you do. Supports also the casual user a bit. So if you have to create the odd time a record in the system, then it helps you also to find suggestions of what you usually use in the company. Okay, the summarize functionality is also something we saw in the D365 customer engagement world, where it's often used in accounts or case management. So we get something similar now, where data can be summarized, data which sits in pages. That can include custom pages or IS3 solutions. So it doesn't matter which data it is, as long as it's visible on the page. So yeah, and best is probably just to see how it works. So I'm going into a posted sales invoice, and maybe have a look on my unpaid invoices there. And here the big one, which is $34,000. I want to understand more what this is all about. And then I click the summary function. So the system goes off and tries to summarize it and tells me that this is about $34,000, the profit. I make my when it's due, and I can click the show more button, then I get the pen, and the pen gives you even more information about this invoice, up to even what the weight is of the what I ship, but I can also see this in the statistics page, of course. So therefore you could say, isn't that quicker to go statistics and see all the data there? What is the need of that? But you need to play around with it a bit, because my next scenario, I did actually learn something new, which it could help users of pointing things out. So let's have a look when I go on a customer and want to have a summary of a customer. School of Fine Arts. So again, the summary box, I can just go and say, yeah, it tells me about the balance due, the outstanding invoices, and so forth, which you can see on the left as well. But it gave me, as I did it the first time, a different information, which I don't see now. So if I refresh that now or regenerate, so it might come up with this information. Yes, here the average collection period is 18 days. That's interesting. So and you can click on it, and then it also moves you right away to the field where it is, and that maybe points me to a section of a screen of the customer card which I maybe haven't seen yet, because it's new, or gives me more information which I haven't come across yet. So that was a good one for me to see a summary functionality, but assume yeah, it's getting more and more useful. So yeah, it gives you a quick review about it, especially when things are larger, and yeah, condenses records into summaries. So now, order sales order agent, the exciting part. Well, we want an agent is there or agents to cover entire process. So it's not just one functionality. We want that they do this by themselves with minimal input, and also then goes in and identify the customer for me, press the quote and all other things, so that I don't really have to look after that again. So there's a certain process that follows. We cannot change those process yet, i.e. customize it, but Microsoft is working on that we can take an existing agent and change it. So I should also add that you can make your own agents in Copilot Studio. So what is the difference between this agent here and the Copilot Studio? There isn't actually, because it is built in Copilot Studio, not that we can see it, but it is already with a pane surfaced in Business Central. And that makes it a bit special, having it directly in Business Central and not an agent sitting somewhere in the background doing work for us. Okay, let's have a look on how we set it up and how it works. So the setup is quite easy. You got this button on the top, sales order agent. Then you need to go through the setup. You need to choose a mailbox, which is probably your sales@company.com. You just link the agent to the email address. It looks at this by default every 30 minutes. And you can still access users and say, look, which user can see the transaction and the conversation that agent is doing. So then you activate the agent, and that is your setup done. So what happens now, because I'm one of the users, I have to send an email. So I'm Ian now, the customer, and I'm just interested in conference tables on chairs and white paint. And I need this on the 15th of February, and I already have a purchase order number, although I don't tell you right away what I want exactly, but I want to give you this information already. So the sales order agent, because you're one of the active users, sees in the tasks that an email did come in from me. So, and that the agent already prepared a reply, and I can review this reply, and it says, hello Ian, thank you for reaching out. Yes, we do have conference tables. Here's the table we have. Those are options of chairs you can order, and those are the white paints we offer to you too. So please tell me what you want, and I'll create a quote. No problem here. Okay, I confirm as a user, so emails get sent back to Ian. So let's swap back to Ian, waiting for the email to arrive. Here it is. So, and I can then, of course, read the email and reply to it. So I just going for the conference table. There's only one to choose from. So I get actually 2 of them, and 8 of the, I take the London chairs, and I want to go for the actual paint white. So give me 2 cans of that. So remember this, in the conversations I did say when I needed it and what my purchase order number is. So that should keep in mind that the agent handles the entire conversation. So that goes back to us. So I can see what happens now. Yeah, the agent picked up the incoming email again and already created a quote for me. So in the quote, we have the conference table, the London chair, the paint being prepared. Scroll to the right, I see my 2 tables, 8 chairs, and 2 cans. Let's set up the right pricing because it identified the customer. And you see, it took also the requested delivery date and the external document number from the previous emails we had and prepared the email back. And I can review that email and said, here's the email with all the data, attached also the quote as a PDF. I'll confirm that. And now back as Ian as the customer, he gets his email, sees the quote as the PDF.
Yep, we're back on again. Yep.
Okay. Right. Sorry for that. Okay, so yeah, we saw the sales agent going through. It well automates steps, of course. Especially agents should be used for there's heavy workload and a lot of volume in there. And I actually saw good examples with where an email wasn't that simple in terms of what you're asking for. Maybe a customer might just type something they want, and at the end they say, oh, and by the way, I just need another item, and this and that. So even if there's complicated more emails, where I could think as a human, you would probably miss maybe some of the information in the email, where the agent did a very good job of picking those things up. So the question which might come up, is the permission setting and what the user can see. So the agent, when I say the concept is what a user can see is what the agent can see, but now you need to define what a user can see for that agent. So define, let's say an agent becomes a user. So that means, I think the idea behind it is very good, that you just not have maybe a complicated setup of permissions and so forth. You just go in. If it can't see a field and can't see an action, then the agent can't do it. So therefore, we have a new role center. Just show you now. So if you go to settings and roles, then you will see the sales order agent. And there's also, they added some technology features for us as partners to make those role center quicker and apply changes. So you see customer contacts and so forth. The customer, only the fields I'm seeing here is the fields the agent sees. There's no fact boxes and so forth here. You see this actions has only the sales quote. And when you go now to the quote itself, so only those fields you can see here, the fields you see here, and you can only do make order, download PDF, and there's no other options here. So this is how you control what the agent can see, do, and so forth. That means you cannot go from here, make a find entries, and end up in the GL and so forth, and maybe reveal some information you don't want to have revealed. So you just basically go through the role, and if you something information you're not happy with that the agent should see, then you just reduce it from the role for that agent, and then the agent can't see it anymore. If you have customization, extra fields, ISVs, you can add this to the role, and that means it's extra information you can provide to the agent. So, okay, Copilot Studio messages. So just have to reiterate, this is consumption-based. It's a new way of billing for us in the Business Central world, but it's not new because it came actually from the Power Platform, where we have a concept as pay as you go. So we can consumption-based billing based on AI capabilities. The messages cost money, and I just have this at the end of it. And there's different meters of how it's been actually metered of the messages. And you do need to link your Business Central environment to Power Platform in order to get your usage and message done. But what you can control as well is you can, in the Power Platform admin, say which environment in Power Platform gets what kind of quotas and what you want to use it for. And then you can actually then link that environment to your Business Central environment, which might be production or even UAT testing. And then you can describe then basically through this link how the billing model is. So we point this out because this linked Power Platform environment on the admin page was there before, and that is just to make easier use for the database integration. But this has now another purpose. Purpose here is that we link it to the environment in order to get the billing done, because the billing is set up in the Azure services. So, and yeah, that's where you do it, and you just basically link it through. Okay, the payables automation is it's probably an area where a lot of automation already happened in the last decade or so. Of course, EDI, electronic interchange of documents, which has been now probably just replaced with the new e-invoicing. I always say e-invoicing is not e-invoicing alone, it's e-documents. You can get purchase orders in as well, and you can send sales orders, not just sales invoices out. So therefore, there's an electronic integration there. But for years, we're doing also PDF interpretations with optical character recognition, OCR technology, to get those data into a structured way. And even some customers just go in and automate the entry of screen things with robotic process automation, RPAs, which you do also with Power Automate, where you can do certain tasks, automate from a desktop point of view. So, but what we couldn't solve is the questions when an accountant has to come in and answer one of those questions. Say, okay, what type of expense is it? Where should it go? Or should I just go on a certain GL account? Or is it even a subscription or an insurance which I might want to defer over a period of time? Or does it require a fixed asset which you have to create first? Do we need to split costs with different departments? Is it already paid? And so forth. How do we handle those kind of expenses? So this is where a human always has to come in. And this is where Microsoft tries to target the agents to say, okay, I can learn from you what you do with this in these cases, and I will do it for you next time. So that's where the exciting part comes in. It's still under development of it, and Microsoft tries to do the whole process of receiving items, invoices, to actually handling the accounting part, to register those invoices or post them based on policies we have in history. So yeah, quite exciting to see how this is just helping us going forward. So the next section is the country and regional. It's usually specific to what is New Zealand, Australia. Well, they put allowed languages in the payment times reporting is for Australia only. Also, in certain circumstances, I do show it because it might be a useful report for you as well. Okay, defined allowed languages is probably hidden gem a bit. Don't want to spend too much time on this slide, but what often happens is, let's go right into a demo, is you just go in as a user, maybe as a new user, and you have to go through your settings, or as an administrator, you see there's tons of languages here, so which you really don't want to see. So therefore, you can go now and go to allowed languages and list it down by either selecting it or searching. So let's say I want English, let's say Australia, or just type in the number right away for New Zealand. And when you go back to this language page, you see now only those languages. It makes it easier for new user setup and so forth. So yeah, so it's basically for administrators to and also to reduce confusion when people just maybe choose the wrong language. The payment times reporting compliance is a must for every Australian company which has more than $100 million turnover and deals with suppliers which have less than $10 million turnover, and therefore you need to show how you pay them and the time it takes you to pay those companies. It's a biannual report. It's in Australia and New Zealand tenants, so therefore you can use it if you want to. This is really rudimentary setup in demo data, so I just want to show you the payment practice. And you can set up different practices. You see, I had to do it 2 years to get some data out of my demo system. You can do it for vendors, customers, or both. Some statistics you can set up there, and you press the generate button, and then there's a print button, and you get a PDF to download and to show. So that's how the report looks like. So yeah, there's not much data to show here from this demo, but so now you get an idea. Maybe you want to play around and see how that looks like in your place. Okay, yeah, so of course, compliance issue if you have $100 million turnover more, but also might be good to use and to see how your general behavior is. In the governance and administration area, just 2 things are picked up which you should note, which is support for IP6 and sandbox preview. I'll talk about this a bit more. This is obviously technical. Yes, the world will run out eventually on IP4 addresses. We don't have enough there, so therefore IPv6 has been introduced long time ago, but not every system, every network can maybe adopt to IP6. You can now tick the box and sleep better knowing that Business Central does support IPv6 addresses. So therefore, you should now give more concern of all the other software you might have, which might not support IPv6 yet, and therefore will one day have an issue. So the sandbox preview update is more, probably have to explain the issue first. When Microsoft comes up with a new release, they give access to a public preview. That means often a month before the release is done. So let's say our release was April. So that means in somewhere in March, you got access to the preview. You could make a new environment with this preview and you could then activate demo data, but you could not do this for your own data. So this has changed now. That means you can have now make a copy of production, have a new sandbox, and then apply this with the preview version so that you get even a month ahead of the release access to the new features and can do some testing and tries, or we all can do better testing now and make sure that we get even earlier ready for the next version. Also should mention, I mentioned it last time in the release, that the time frames have changed a bit in terms of specifically the grace period, which you could ask for at Microsoft to say, look, we're not ready yet for getting the new release, and you're not ready by the date they said that you have to. Back in the days, you could just go and ask for an extension. So that is not the case anymore. So there's no grace period anymore from Microsoft. So you have to get ready of the major releases on time. All right, reporting and data analysis. So one thing I really like is the related fields in analysis mode. And then we look into more analytical and finance reporting enhancements we've seen in this release. So this is not available now with the versions we have. I think it should come probably next month in version, the third minor version, or second minor if you count the first one as a major. Then you can go and enhance your analysis mode with fields you from related tables. So best is the example again. I have a list of customers. That means I can only analyze fields and pivot them of the fields which are in the customer table or actually shown to me. So now going forward, you can also go on the tab, click on the add columns from, and then you see there is other tables you can get access to. For example, the contact table, because the contact table is linked through the primary contact number of the customer table, and therefore I can have access to them. But what it will do next is it will offer you source pages, because you can only look at fields which have been exposed to you on those pages. So that means you cannot go and sneak in and to see a field which is on the table but not on the page. So that's something which is a bit of security control with that as well, how you can go from there. And yeah, and that makes a query behind the scenes automatically and grabs them the data. You can do multiple links to different tables. And of course, you save those views in your analysis mode and can use it then all the time again. So that's quite exciting, actually. Okay, now we're looking at the finance analytics changes we have, specifically when it comes to Excel layouts. So you see already Microsoft's going more and more away from what we call the RDLC reports, the old SQL Server reporting language behind it, which how we did the reports. Analytical reports get more exposed now in Excel. So let's have a look how that looks like. So the Excel reports we have here, see they were all in preview. Most of them came out of preview. Now that means they are released. And if you just go and take a report, I mean, just download it and don't care so much on the filters, just to get the concept, then we can see now that we have a print sheet, which is more the printable version of this report. That's the way we used to know it. You see there is also another sheet, the analysis view, which comes with slices, and where I can just go in and interactively filter my data. And they see about the report, which talks about which user run the report, etc. and so forth. Another report, I have the customer top 10 report, just to show you. This is how the reports are going to look like going forward. That means always a print sheet, an analyzer sheet, and whatever you want to put on top of it, because you can now take this as a starting point and make changes and make your own sheets. And and do that. So you see, this is the top customer report, which is used in demos. So the old report will be duplicated, will be gone, and will be replaced with this one only. So and that cycle we will see in the coming releases, where existing reports will disappear and be replaced with this Excel style report. Now, in the finance report, finance report or account schedules was the old name of it. So we have some further enhancements as well, so that we can do some more self-service changes to reports. So let's have a look into the finance report. Choose the income statement. Have a look at the report itself. So the first thing I want to show you is when we have a minus. A lot of accountants don't like it. They want rather parallel to this. So that's now needed a complete new library to get in. But now we can choose it, show it, and print it. So if you rather prefer the brackets, then you can do that now. So that's the first thing. Sounds small, but was a big thing to do. Internal descriptions, you can add more of comments of what the report is about. Then the row definitions, we have some changes here, internal description as well, but you can, if you make them visible, have the double underline now as an option, which I choose here now, and you can also do a hide currency symbol field. Those are the two you have to use. Where used is very useful to see where this row definition has been used in this report only. Likewise, when we go to the columns edition, you get also a where used function. That's more useful because the column will be used multiple times. And we have now a year-to-date, rest of fiscal year, and a month-to-date option, which you can use now and can, of course, with the formulas, do a comparison to last year as well. So so if I print this, what we have done now, you can see there's just the double quoted. So you can add more to the report. This is the introductory and closing paragraphs. So you can just write a whole text in here, multi-line. I just do now quickly one line. So, and when you now go and print this, you will see this text that will be added to the report. And this text will also be added to the Excel sheet, which I'll show you next. So talking about Excel, so before we go there, there's the options of multiple reports, as you always had with every report. I want to point that out. So here it comes with a landscape and a portrait report as well. So, and you can make your own. And the next one would be just probably talking about the templates we're having. So the update and create Excel templates will disappear in the future and will be replaced with the new Excel layout feature. So you will open Excel with its layout and you define the layout here. You can have many layouts. Let's make one and give it a name, description, and also the file name you want the Excel file to be. And obviously you could also then do multi-versions. So therefore I'll just do version 1, but I might have a version 2 and so forth, and can play with it. Give it a name. And then I just have to go and export the layout so that I can work on it. So this will give me now my default data. And when I open up that file, see just the data exported of the report, but this is where I now make my own report and add my own sheets and do all my layouts and changes I want. So for the sake of this demo, I'll just make a new sheet quickly, give it a name, and give it a title. And of course, just change my font size and bold and what have you to it. And then, of course, I want to get my data. So my data is in my first sheet, so I just use normal Excel formulas. So just do a simple drag and drop here so that we get some data in, so you get the idea. You just make your own formatting, dollars. So, and let's assume you want to just make it even nicer. add another chart on it. So we just take some data and just make a chart, take a bar chart, move it over, just move it up a bit. So I think you get the idea of you make your own format. We just hide the data when we get. So, and this is what I want the user to see. And then just use this template, save it, import it back. And now I choose it. And if I go now open Excel layout, I could use it, but I want to change the period first so we get some different data. So we had 336, now it's 1111 here. So different data open in Excel and add Excel in here. There we go. This is my exported for fresh data. And I see only my layout in there. All right. So yeah, so you can see it's more in your hands now to do more reporting with extra functionality added to it in terms of features with the month to date. And don't forget, you can do the year and month comparison with formulas, and you can influence the layout of your Excel reports there and make better reports by yourself. So now we're getting to the big chunk of supply chain management. This is my selection of it, so which I thought is quite useful. And you see it's quite a lot this time. And some will be quicker done than others, and some I will combine in one demo together. So yeah, so what we probably have to talk about is it's mostly for the manufacturing side, I think. So let's get into it. All right, so blocked items are simple. So I might have an item which I still have on stock I want to sell, but I don't want to produce anymore. So manufacturer, it might be replaced with a newer model. So therefore I need to sell my stock I have and then work on a new one. So that might be one scenario. Now, when you go to the item card, you get now a field production blocked. This drop down is currently only one value output. So because it's a drop-down, it suggests that it will get more values going forward, like you can't consume perhaps an item. So this is at the moment only to block an item to be outputted. And if you're trying to do this, you can add it to a release production order again in the error message here. So then costing has changed a bit in terms of the level of detail. So standard costing is now derived from the stock keeping units. So if you do use stock keeping units, means the item and the setup per location, then and use those also in your bill of materials, then you can define the standard cost on that. You might have a location in I don't know, just pick Auckland and Christchurch, and the standard cost doing the same thing would be different depending where you are, and therefore you want to do it more on a SKU level. Also, something which was missing a lot, and you see, I think a lot of these changes you saw probably thought, oh yeah, we're missing that for years now, is coming in now, which is good. So non-inventory items can also be now contributing and seeing the cost calculations and the cost share, and they haven't been in to date. So, and in order to have a look on this, we have to go and activate include non-inventory in the manufacturing setup, and then we see when we do a cost share report, you see there is now a cost from non-inventory items as well included in the BOM cost share report. So also in the statistics. So now I prepare something for the other things. So that means I have normal production journal, and I do maybe delete lines I do not want to consume, and I go in and just go a bit crazy on some of the consumption of some items. I post it. Then I just want to go and finish the production order, and then later on somebody reviews the production order and then says, item entries, why do we have so much cost? What happened here? And yeah, what did you do in the past? You could not open the finished production order, could not undo the consumption, and so forth. So or even you might have had a production order which you just finished with no output because you just something you didn't do, but you wanted to account it for the consumption of the items. So yeah, so you were kind of stuck. So now we have a cure for that. So you can easily revert consumption and output transactions. That is items, but also capacity. You can then return unused materials back to where they come from, and therefore handle much better accuracy around the inventory and financial data. So, and the way you do that is reopen the finished orders now. I just found out, but I should just mention that that when you try to reopen this multiple times, that actually didn't work. You could do it once. So therefore, take that opportunity now. You can reopen once, but if you finish it again and reopen, that didn't work for me. So maybe it's something Microsoft is going to fix soon, but that is what I experienced so far. So, okay, how does it work? I go into finish production order. And well, the first thing, of course, I have to do is just maybe I saw those crazy entries, and I want to reverse those entries here, some which I've found. So in order to do that, we can go and reopen now the finished production order. Yeah, and it will ask me if I want to go to the release production order. Yes. So now I'm in a release production order. So I made a release production order for me. I can go into the entries and even capacity ledger entries and say, look, electric wiring, I didn't like that. So reverse that capacity. And it makes me a reversible entry, basically. So, which is here on the top. And then I can also go and do the same for my item ledger entries, where I just go on the line I want to reverse. So, and makes a reversal entry for that. Maybe another line I want to choose that and reverse it. So, and now I'll go back to my production journal and maybe post now the right things I wanted to post, the corrective things, post it, and now I can actually change the order back to finished and have fixed my problem of wrong consumption. So, and I can have a look again on them. Okay, let's go to the next topic, is our overpick for production orders. So sometimes it's required that, yes, there is a certain amount of quantity I need for to consume, but I might need to get some spares or have a different pack size and so forth. So I do want to pick more. And overpicking was always an issue so far. So you might even overpick and keep it because you know you need it next time as well. And therefore you can also then therefore want to post consumption for additional pick components you had. So I'm just going through that relatively quickly though. So let's have a look. Up again. I hope you can still hear me. My computer is spinning. There we go. Okay. Now, okay, release production order. We have components on an order. Here we see our foot adjustable rubber, which I constantly maybe break and use. So therefore I can now go to this item and activate actually that I can do allow warehouse overpick. So I do it on an item level. So that means other items I cannot do the same thing. Okay, now I just go and create a warehouse pick. On the warehouse pick now, it tells me I need only 16 and for the housing pot and 4 switches. So I'm gonna change this here. I want to have 100 of those. That works. But if I go to housing airport, the item which I didn't activate for this, I get an error message saying I can't do overpicking. Okay, so given that I have enough stock, I can now move the goods from one place to the next and have them all in my right bin. And then I can go in the production zone and consume it. So now I could go, I know I have 100, but I should use at least 16 and 4 of the filters, but I need more. So maybe I just go and change now the quantity I want to use here, 5, and I also need more of that, but you see, I can't because I didn't pick more, so it doesn't allow me. It's very restrictive, and the foot I can go and change to 20 now. So that means I can over consume that items because I need some spares. So that's all good. So now I see there's no remaining quantity left, but I still maybe want to go in the consumption journal and consume another switch onto it. So I can always go ahead and do this because it's on the same bin and just post this even more consumption afterwards. So, and yeah. So, and change also the flushing method and so forth. You can add components to it as you want it, and then go and consume from there, or consume directly without a pick. That's also a new feature we're having. So in the production journal itself, you see I just added 4, which I didn't pick at all, but I can consume it. So where movements are the ones which I want to return back. So let's assume I don't need to have space issues. I need to bring back the goods I have. So now it takes the remaining quantities I haven't used, and I can bring them back as well. So it makes a suggestion. I can obviously adjust that one, and then I can go and create the movement, and people in the warehouse can execute it and move it back. So that concludes the functionality of the overpicking process. So we see also some more key information being added to different places, and it's more usability where you can see more data, or you get a confirmation dialog when you do things. So, so for example, you have production order components, and in the production components you can see also now more availability data and so forth, things which you haven't seen before. Another thing is the swap of change production orders. You could do this before, but now you can select 3 release production orders, change the status here to finished and say yes. And now you can see they all have been will be finished at the same time. So, and then you go to finish production orders and you see they've been changed. So you see that's a usability feature because you could do that before, but you had to go to a different place, which was, I think, status overview or something. And the most people actually didn't know that that page existed where you could do those mass changes on production orders. So, which is still there. So, but that, of course, is more now helping you right away when you see it. So another thing that has been added is around manufacturing is when you make production output and you want to use then warehouse putaways to put them away. So that's something you can do now right away, and which eliminates the switching of document types. That means everything is registered directly to the production order. So you can create your warehouse putaways, you see registered putaways. You don't have to do movements anymore to do that. So therefore it supports the directed putaway and pick enabled locations. So go into that. So that means in production on the location card, you see you can define what you want. No warehouse handling at all. The inventory put away or a warehouse put away. So the inventory put away was introduced last release. The warehouse put away has been now introduced this release. So that means we can now just start using that. So from a release production order, we make some output. So in order to have this to be moved away, so I make maybe partial outputs from things, and because you might output, and then you can just then go ahead and make see there's activity lines, and it creates automatically with every output a put away. So now the put away, of course, you can do the normal handling. You can just move one away or and so forth. You can do the normal things as before. So you can delete one even for the rest, and then later on even generate another one for that remaining one. So if I just do that, so and say give me my put away worksheet, you see I had 4, the last one before. it's 5 in total, and I can again create putaways again for all the quantities I haven't put away yet. So if I finish the production order, I can still do that. So let's assume somebody has forgotten to make putaways, then you still have the action to do that. So you can still always continuously make sure that your stock is being put away. And of course, you can look at all the registered lines as well, and so forth. All right. So there we go. The last bit I want to show you on this is the document attachments. I'm not sure it's the last. Where you can add attachments to release production orders. So there's a request from customers. They made some form, maybe as quality sheets or checklists and so forth, or pictures they've taken, which they want to add to a release production order. So you have a section now with documents on the side, and where you can upload your files. So very straightforward. Maybe a checklist you've done and filled out, and attach it to the release production order. So that's about it. So then sometimes you have the situation that you want not to pick items which you have a manual flushing method. Therefore, a new option has been introduced to do that. So when you look at this screenshot, you saw we had manual, forward, backward, and pick backward. So that means you still want to maybe go and do manual, means you just consume from the item or the bin it is. But sometimes you also want to go and pick the item, but pick forward consumes it right away. Pick backward consumes it based on the finished quantity when you make the finished production order. So therefore, you get now another choice where you can also then pick, but then overpick as we've shown you before, and then manually consume. Okay, now we're moving away from supply chain to user experiences. There's some screen adjustments which you can do. You can adjust fact boxes now, optimize the screen instead a bit, and make things wider. And there is a new PDF viewer built in now in Business Central directly, so which allows you to view PDFs right away without going and download them first. So I'll just combine this all into one demo quickly. So the first thing is I go and posted sales invoices. You get a list, you get the fact boxes. You see a bit cramped there. So you can now move these fact boxes left and right. You can extend it to have more real estate. And what I really like about it is if you go back, it remembers it for this browser you're working on. So, and this workstation is quite important. So if you move around, then you need to do this again. So yeah, and you got your PDF directly in BC, so you don't have to go and download it first. All right, so this is the demos. We conclude that. Now we talk about the last topic, which is the license changes. Yes, there will be a price increase announced, and also we talk about a few about the campaigns. So the last 5 years the last price increase is 5 years ago. Since then, Microsoft just added a ton of new functionality, as you can tell here every single time on those videos I do, which is always a fraction of that. So, a fraction of that is fraction, yeah. And and we built a lot of Copilot functionality into it. So, but what they do is not just increase the price; they also increase the capacity you get, the database space. So let's have a look. So the price change will go into effect on the 1st of October this year. So this increase will be globally to all new and existing customers to it. So it depends on your commitment you had. There's monthly, yearly, 2 yearly, 3 yearly. Those commitments, of course, stay. So, but on the renewal of your end of your period, then and that if that is after the 1st of October, the new prices will apply. So the new pricing will increase then also storage capacity to it. And well, why is it in bold? Business Central will remain available with the current price before 1st of October is, well, that gives you the opportunity to do longer term commitments now and to lock in the old existing price. What are the price changes? So I only have the US dollar prices at this stage, but I think more important is then what the price changes would be. So in US dollars, Business Central Essential license goes from $70 US to $80, which is a price increase of 14%. So, and you get a storage increase from 2 gigs to 3 gigs per user. With this. Bigger gains on the premium licenses with the storage from 3 gigabytes to 5 gigabytes, only in price increase of 10%. And Business Central device licenses also change from 1 gigabyte to 1.5 and at 12.5%. You might have noticed as team member licenses are not affected and don't change. So price increase 1st of October. You can lock in the prices if you want to with longer term commitments. And yeah, that's probably, and you get more storage for it too. Okay, the last bit I wanted to explain in more detail is the consumption billing based on the example we had with the sales agent. So I need to introduce some terms which you should get familiar with. The first term is the messages. The proper name is the Microsoft Copilot Studio messages. That means this is your new currency now. So you ask how many messages does it consume? And that depends. So it depends on the activities we do. There's 2 meters, how it is metered in there. So if the agent is doing a generative answer, like replying to an email and that, so then that will consume 2 messages for 1 answer. So if the autonomous action has been executed, which for example is executing or making a quote because it has to go to a system and create that, so or converting the quote into an order, then every single time that one action is consuming 5 messages. You can have prepaid message packs. As it is an Asia subscription, it will always be in US dollars, and then the beginning of the month will be converted and charged then into the New Zealand dollar equivalent or Australian dollars equivalent or whatever local currency you have where you sit. So that means you can buy 25,000 messages for a month or per month, sorry, typo, for $200. And you can buy multiple packs if you assume you get more messages to consume. If you go with the pay-as-you-go option, then every message costs 1 cent. So now let's get through an example so that we get an idea how valuable that is for us in the sales order process. So we got an inbound email first, which we have to process first, and then we have to reply to that. So then we get another answer back from the customer. Let's say, I want these chairs and tables. So there's another inbound message you have to do. Now we want to even prepare a quote, which is another action. And therefore then send another email out, which is an output email and so forth. So I think you get the drift. So that means those would be generative answers, autonomous actions. And that means in my example I didn't show the order, but it would then consume 6 times 2 messages for the conversations we're having, 1 times 5 messages for creating the quote, 1 times 5 messages creating the order. Obviously, if there is more ping pong between the customer and the agent of clarifying questions they might have, then there will be, of course, more generative answers. So that means 26 messages would have been used. If you would go for the pay-as-you-go option, it would be 26 cents US. So let's say 50 cents Australian New Zealand for this process. Okay, promotions also. We have a long-running Bridge to Cloud 2 options. So started a long time ago with Bridge to Cloud, then Bridge to Cloud 2, which has already run for a long time. So for every customer who has a dynamic solution, NRV, GP, X, on-premise, wants to go into the cloud, can run this as a dual use option. Basically, you're becoming already a cloud customer, pay for fixed 3-year term, have to pay the same amount you paid previously in your business ready enhancement plan. So you basically annual fee, and could then move to the cloud whenever you want to be ready. So the bridge to cloud option was a 60% discount. The bridge to cloud 2 is a 40% discount, and it ends on the 31st of March, 31st of December 2025. It's run quite a long time. So there is no word out there will be a bridge to cloud 3. So now, if I read between the lines, and you cannot quote me on this, is right, if it's 60% on one, 40% on two, I do believe there will be perhaps a cloud coming, but you will see it will probably 20% or even less. So, but again, there's no guarantee. Microsoft might decide not to make a bridge to cloud anymore at all, and they might decide to come up with something which has different conditions and different discounts. So therefore, this is hard to tell. Okay, and then another offer I want to mention from us. So we had last webinar, I had a presenter with Sefton talking us through Solver, and we had quite a good engagement with customers afterwards. So therefore, we also decided back then to make a quick start offering, which is still valid. And I just want to remind everyone that we do have that. So if you're interested in Solver, if you haven't seen it, you can watch the last video. It's all also now listed on our YouTube channel. Then you could go up as a 1-week setup for a fixed price of $10,000, and you get 90 days free of Solver to test it and play it. You can either make a picture of the QR code or go into that that quick URL here, Solver Quick Start, to ask some question or register your interest. So that brings us to questions. Time-wise, we have 8 minutes left. Any further questions, Gemma?
None that I can see, Joerg. You've obviously answered everything.
You will get definitely a webinar, the recording again. I'm not sure. That probably takes perhaps a couple of days or a week. It will be hosted also in YouTube. That means you can run it slower or faster and fast forward. So that's why we did it as well. So, and of course, you can always reach out to me if you have any further questions. Then I thank you for participating, and have a good day. Thank you. See you in a few months again.